Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Let's begin our first class today, inshallah. And in order to have a very solid foundation, we are going to start from the complete beginning, from Arabic alphabet, huruf al-hija. And inshallah, starting from the Arabic alphabet, we will continue our journey, and hopefully, inshallah, we will be able to understand Quran, and inshallah, we will be able to understand Hadith as well. So, as we can see over here, Arabic alphabet, huruf al-hija. These letters, or huruf, as we know, huruf is the plural of harfun. Harfun is one letter, and the plural is hurufun, are called construction letters, as they are used to construct or make words. So we call them construction letters. Why do we call them construction letters? Because they are used to make words. Now we will see there are some other huruf as well. So that's why from the beginning we need to know everything, and we must be clear about everything that we are learning. So the total number is 29. However, Hamza could be the part of the root letter sometimes, and sometimes it's not. Here we can see that this is how they are written, like alif, ba, ta, tha. So this is how they are written. And when we talk about the pronunciation is a little bit different from how they are written. So if you look at the pronunciation part, they will be read like this. For example, we say alif, but when you look at this, the original pronunciation will be alifun. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, ta'un. This one is soft, and we have to pronounce by putting our, like, the tip of the tongue on the teeth. So then we have jimun, ha'un. This is a throat letter from the throat. Kha'un, this is one of the letters that is heavy. So it is kha, kha'un. Then we have dalun, dhalun, ra'un, zayun, sinun, shinun, sadun. So now you see here the pronunciation is different, and this is how the original pronunciation is. When we looked at the first part, we can see over here that they are written like this. For example, seen, we pronounce it seen, but the written transcript is different here. But when we talk about the pronunciation will be sinun, as we can see over here. So it will be sinun, shinun, sadun. Also, this is one of the heavy letters. Badun, also very heavy, as we know. Ta'un, one of the heavy letters, and dha'un is also one of the heavy letters. Now you might be thinking, what is meant by that? So you might go to the channel, and from there, Easy Quran Academy, and you can watch like small videos of the tajweed, like for 5 minutes, and inshallah you will be able to see how to pronounce them properly. Ainun, this is also throat letter, from the middle of the throat. Ghainun, also one of the throat letters. Tha'un, very soft. Qafun is also one of the heavy letters. Then we have kafun. So this is, look at the difference here. This is qa and this is ka. Qafun and kafun. Lamun, mimun, nunun, ha'un, wawun, and ya'un. The last one that we have over here, hamzatun, as we can see over here, even the written is slightly different from the others. From the others, we can see that in the end we have hamza, all of them except for alifun, and most of them, and here it has the rounded ta or ta ar marbuta. So these are the letters. This is how they are written in Arabic. Now we move on to see what basically hamza is, because we need to see how hamza works and what it is. So we can see over here, sometimes it's part of the word and it is used by itself. Ja'a, now here it is hamza, it's the part of the word. Sha'a, again hamza, it's part of the word. But we should know that hamza is very delicate, and sometimes it's naughty as well. Why do we say naughty? Because it keeps on changing from one word to the other word. Why it is delicate? Sometimes it takes a seat to sit on it. So that's why we said it's delicate, because it needs a seat to sit on it. It sits on alif, waw, and ya. So it has got 3 seats to sit on. One of them is alif. As we can see over here, it is sitting on alif, so it is like abun, father. Then we have over here, it sits on waw, which is mu'minun. So here again, it is sitting on waw. And next is hayy. It's a verb which means to facilitate in Surah Al-Kahf. So hayy. And how now we can see over here that it is sitting on ya. So it sits on alif, waw, and ya. Now something interesting. When Hamza is placed on alif, waw, or ya, they are called Hamza and not alif, waw, and ya. So something that you need to notice and note down, that when we put Hamza on alif, waw, and ya, then they are called Hamza and we do not call them alif, waw, and ya. This information is very important. Now let's see the difference between Hamza and the difference between alif. As I said, that some like grammarians, they say that Arabic has 28 letters because they do not consider Hamza as part of the letters, and sometimes they say 29 letters. So that's why we need to know a little bit more about Hamza. Alif is always empty, like we can see over here, ma hada. So we can see over here that ma is empty, right? And similarly we can see hada. Here again alif is empty. So in ma, alif is empty, and in hada, alif is also empty. That's number one about alif. Number two, very important, alif never comes in the beginning of the word. Very important again, it never comes in the beginning of the word. Now all of these shapes that we can see over here, for example this one, we might be thinking that this is alif, and we might be thinking this is alif, and this is also, and similarly here and here. However, when any of the vowels or sukoon come on an alif, then it is called Hamza. So now all of these, as we can see over here, are called Hamza. We don't call them alif anymore. What do we call them? We call them Hamza. So the basic difference that you can see over here, alif is always empty, as we can see over here. That's number one. And number two, we can see that it never comes in the beginning of the word. And whenever we put Hamza itself, or whenever we put kasra or dhamma or fatha, or even the sukoon sign, then it becomes Hamza and we do not call it alif anymore. Is this clear? Very important, this information, because Hamza is like, as I said, very naughty and very, very delicate. It keeps on changing. So we need to know from the beginning what is the difference between Hamza and between alif. I hope it's clear now. We can move on to the next part of the lesson. Okay, here we have insanun. So what is this? Is this alif or Hamza?
Hamza.
Hamza, excellent. And why is it Hamza? Because it has a vowel sign on this. So this is Hamza, excellent. What about this one?
Alif.
Alif, excellent. And why is this alif? Because it is empty, excellent. Empty, perfect. It's empty and it does not have any vowel sign on that. So that's the big difference, or the basic difference between alif and Hamza. And in this word we have both of them. We have Hamza and alif together. Then we move on to the Arabic vowel signs. They are called harakat. Harakatun is singular and the plural is harakatun. There are only 3 short vowel signs, only 3, and they are very important. Inshallah, when you proceed, you will see that they play a very, very important role in understanding the Arabic language, and also they play a very important role when it comes to the meaning as well. So we need to master them before we move on, because we will be dealing with them inshallah for the rest of our lives. So that's why we need to focus on them. So the first one, since we are learning Arabic, so we need to know the names in Arabic. So the first one we can see here is around like it's like a comma. So it's Dhamma. It's called Dhammatun, and it has the U sound, as we can see over here. Rusulun, Rusulun. It shouldn't be pronounced as Rosulun because it's Ru sound. So it's basically Dhamma. So it will be Rusulun. Then we have the second one is Fatha, a small strike which is above the letter Fathatun, and it's the A sound, as we can see over here, Kataba. So we are focusing only at one. We can have more than one, but we will focus on one at one time. So we can see over here, Kataba is A sound over here. And then we have Kasra, a small strike which is under the letter or the harf, and it's called kasratun, and it has the E sound, as we have Sami'a. So please focus on these three. We have Rusulun, Kataba, and Sami'a. So we have the basic sounds that we have. We have U, A, and E, as we can see here. So you can place them on all the letters one by one, and you can get that sound like Bu, Ba, Bi. Similarly, all the letters, if you want to practice more, starting from Ba up to Ya, you can practice them with the basic short vowel signs, and inshallah you will master them once you practice them all. So these are the short vowels. Now we move on to the long vowels. So what are the long vowels? They are basically elongated Dhamma. So what happens? The Dhamma becomes longer. So Dhamma, Fatha, and Kasra, we prolong them for 1 second. And when we talk about the long vowels, normally we prolong them for 2 seconds. So for example, here we can see it's wow basically, but the sound we can see is U sound, and it will be Rasulun, Rasulun. So we can see over here that it is prolonged for almost 2 seconds. The first one was Rusulun. Rusulun was for 1 second, and now we can see that U sound is prolonged for 2 seconds, and normally Waw has Dhamma before it, as we can see over here. So it becomes long Dhamma. So it will be Rasulun. So the second one is long Fatha, which will be the A sound. We have over here Kitabun. So in the previous example, it was Kataba. Kataba. But when you prolong it, it becomes Kitabun. And we can see that we have the A sound over here, and normally Alif is compatible with Fatha, and then we have the long Kasra, which is basically Ya, and it is pronounced as E. So we get the sounds of U, A, E, as we have here Sami'un. In the previous example we had Sami'a, and now you can see over here it is Sami'un. And please remember that when we prolong the sound, the meaning will definitely change. Sami'a means he heard, and Sami'un means who will hear or who hears continuously. Similarly, Kataba, he wrote, but Kitaban means a book, and Rusulun means messengers, and Rasulun means only one messenger. So you can see over here the meanings will change. So that's why we need to focus a lot on these short vowels and long vowels. And now again, for your practice, what you can do, I have just given the example of like wow or bu, ba, bi, but what you can do, you can practice all the letters starting from ba, bu, bi, ta, tu, ti, all of them, so that you are able to master them. And this is very, very important. It's for two reasons. Number one, for learning Arabic, and number two, when you are reciting the Quran, this is also very, very important. Okay, first we saw the difference between Alif and Hamza. Now let's see the difference between Ya and short Alif. Short Alif, as we can see over here. So Ya has 2 dots, as we can see over here. It has 2 dots and normally has Kasra before it, as we saw the signs Kasra or Fatha before it. Most of the times it has Kasra before it, but there is a possibility that it can have Fatha before it as well. Whereas short Alif, as we can see over here, is empty and has Fatha before it. So like Alif, short Alif always has Fatha before it. So these are the two things that are common between Alif and short Alif. Now here the Na, So is this ya or short alif? Short alif, yeah, please call it short alif, because alif is the long one, as we saw in the beginning, is like this, and this is called short alif. Excellent. And why do we say that? Because we have fatha before it, and it does not have two dots, as we can see over here. What about dinun? Dinun.
Yeah.
We have ya over here. Excellent. For two reasons: we have kasra before it, and also it has two dots, so that's why we will say that this is ya. Excellent. And then we have wailun. What about wailun? Is this ya as well? Again, excellent. And the reason is the same, that we have two dots under it. However, as I mentioned, that sometimes it can have fatha before it, but most of the times it takes kasra before it, because ya is compatible with kasra. However, it is possible that it can have fatha before it. Now we can see that alifun. So let's see what they are. Alifun is like this, as we can see, al-qari'ah. So where is the alif over here in al-qari'ah?
Alif.
The blue one, right?
Hamza.
Yeah, in the beginning we have hamza, and in the middle we have alif, and as I said, that alif will never come in the beginning of the word. Then we have alif maqsura, and now you can see it's called short alif, so it has a different name. So look at the difference, please. There is a difference between these. This is called alif, only alif, as we can see over here. However, this is called alif maqsura, short alif, and this is how it is written, as we can see over here. It is empty and there is a fatha before it. So this is the difference between alif and short alif. And then the next one that we have over here is ya'un, and as we have seen that ya'un carries, or it has two dots, and it's clear from the example over here when you say kitabi. Now here it is ya, for two reasons. Number one, it has two dots, and also it has kasra before it. So I hope now, inshallah, that the difference between alif maqsura, and ya is very clear now. And similarly, the difference between hamza and the difference between hamza and alif is also clear. And the reason I'm emphasizing again and again, because it happens a lot, and we will be discussing several times talking about these terms. So you have to memorize them, so that when you go through, inshallah, and we proceed further, you don't get confused like what exactly is going on. Then we have the vowel sounds as we continued. So we had the long vowels, and then we had the short vowels, and now we have tanween, nunation. Tanween is also very, very important, plays a very important role. So the short vowels, the long vowels, and then tanween. So what is basically tanween? It's basically we have dhamma, and we just make it double. So we double it. So we will say double commas or two commas, and it is called dhammatan, as we can see over here, dhammatan. So it is called tanween. For example, we have over here kitabun, so we have two dhammas over here, or we say dhammatan, so it is kitabun. Similarly, we have fathatan, which is again two strikes, and whenever, inshallah, when we will discuss more about this, you will see that the word, when it has fathatan, it also needs extra alif, and that is for different reasons. So inshallah we will discuss about that. So fathatan, it was basically fatha before, and now it became two, so it has become fathatan. And then we have kasratan, so one is kasra and two will be called as kasratan, and we can see over there that they will be below the letter. So we know dhammatan are above the letter, as we can see over here, and fathatan are also above the letter, whereas kasratan are below the letter. So these are this is called tanween, or we call that nunation. Why do we call that nunation? Because this is also basically the noon sound, but it's a different way of writing noon. So you should know that noon is written in two ways. Number one, it is written like this, and number two, this is also noon. How? When you read it, how do you read it without stopping? You will say kitabun. How will you read it? Kitabun, right? So what do we have in the end? We have noon. So that's why it's called the noon sound, and it's called tanween, because it's a different way of writing noon. So this is basically also the noon sound, as we can see over here, nunation. So it is kitabun. Similarly, kitaban. So only the haraka changes, the pronunciation remains the same, kitaban. And again, the haraka changes over here, or the vowel sound changes here, so it becomes kitabin. So the end, what do we have? The noon sound. That's why it is called tanween. The next vowel sign that we have over here is also very important. It is called sukoon. As you can see, the translation is like something that is vowelless or something that is silent. So you will find words in Arabic or in the Quran, as you can see, that they are sakin. What does that mean? They do not have any vowel sign. And the vowel sign means, when we talk about, they are mutaharrik, like fatha, damma and kasra, dammatan, fathatan and kasratan, they are mutaharrik. But this is sakin. Sakin means it does not have any vowel sign on that. For example, ka has damma, so we will say this is mutaharrik. But noon doesn't have any sign or any vowel sign on that, so we will say this is sakin. And then the last one is tashdid. What is tashdid? It is basically stress. And why is it called stress? Because the letter is pronounced with stress, and basically there are two letters. The letter in Arabic, the rule is like, when the two letters are the same, then they are assimilated, or they are put together and they are merged into one, and tashdid is placed on that. So that's why it is called tashdid, as we can see over here. So it will be rabbun, rabbun. So when you are pronouncing, basically ba occurs twice. It has occurred twice, but it has been merged into one ba. But after merging, there is an addition of tashdid on that tells that two letters have been assimilated into one letter. So that's why it has become tashdid. So you can see over here, it's basically rabbun, but after assimilation, it becomes rabbun. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbil alameen will be wrong, so we say rabbil alameen. Okay, now time for test. Okay, the first one, what is this?
Alif.
Excellent, alif.
Alif.
The second one,
Short alif.
short alif. Excellent. And try to memorize excellent in Arabic as well, alif maqsura. Perfect. The next one,
Yeah.
ya. Okay, why it's ya, and why this is alif maqsura?
It's got two dots at the bottom.
Excellent. What's next?
Hamza.
Hamza. Okay, Hamza. And what about this one?
Hamza.
Hamza. Excellent. Okay, so now you can see here that this is the original form of Hamza, and here it has, because it has sakin on that. So we discussed that alif, whenever it comes empty, it's alif, but whenever we put anything onto it or under it, then it becomes sakin, and it changes, into alif, or in fact Hamza. So it becomes Hamza. Excuse me. Yeah. So this is Hamza, and this is also Hamza. Okay. What about these three signs over here?
Dhamma, fatha, kasra.
Okay, are these long vowels or short vowels?
Short vowel.
Short vowels. Excellent.
Vowels.
Perfect. Okay. Then we have the next one. What do we call them?
Tanween.
Okay, dammatain or dammatan, fathatan and kasratan. And what's the name?
Dammatan, fathatan, and kasratan.
And what's the name? The name is tanween. Nunation or tanween. Excellent. What about these?
Wow, alif and ya.
Long vowels.
Long vowels. Excellent. Perfect. So these are long vowels, as we can see over here. And what is the difference between long vowels and short vowels? Short vowels?
Long vowel.
Just 2 seconds for the long.
Yeah, we prolong them for 2 seconds, and the short vowels, we prolong them for 1 second. Excellent. And what about this one? Sukoon or sakin. Excellent. Perfect. And the last one is tashdid. Yeah, so there is a small mistake over there. Yeah, so the first one is sukoon, and the second one is tashdid. And subhanallah ta'ala, that clearly shows that we are weak, we are human beings, we make mistakes, we are not perfect, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect. And that shows our weakness, that we are weak and we all make mistakes. That's why we must never think that we are perfect. Of course not. So, intaha darsu al-yawma, today's lesson is finished. Again, please, the lessons will be short, but they will consist of lots of information. And I don't really want to make them very long because you need to master this information. So, inshallah, the PDF file, I'm going to share it in the WhatsApp group. So what you can do, you can just download it, or you can print it out and you can keep it with you and you can revise it whenever you need it. And if you have any questions, you can ask questions in the group, and also if you have any questions, you can ask questions now.
I have one question.
Sure.
In Tajweed, when we read like Kubra, we said, you said this short alif, right?
Yes.
Because the ya have no two dots.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
So, what is my question? But we read it two harka, Kubra.
Very good question. Yes.
And the long vowel written in the here, waw, alif, and ya, is also two harka. So why here we saying that in Kubra we read fast, one harka, and in long vowel we are reading two harka? I'm confused.
Okay, Kubra, as you can see over here, I have written here as well. So please remember that the short alif is also prolonged for 2 seconds, not for 1 second. That's number one. Number two, it is extra. It is just placed in front of the word. And when you look at the Mus'haf, you will see that the Mus'haf that we have here in Madina Munawwara or Saudi Arabia, you will see that there is only Fatha sometimes, and sometimes you will see that there is a Fatha and there is long alif onto that. It will be written like this. So the Mus'haf that we have, most of them in subcontinent, you will see that there is a long alif written on that. But in the Mus'haf that we have over here, you will see a combination of Fatha and then this alif onto that. So this alif, it means that we have to prolong it for 2 seconds. So for example, I will give you the example, Ar-Rahman. In Ar-Rahman, you can see that there is this short alif written onto that, but it is prolonged for 2 seconds. Similarly, when you say Sughra, Kubra, Bushra, so what happens basically, before alif maqsura, we have long alif, but it's not written like this. So this is one of the ways of writing in Arabic language. So we don't need to be really confused. Sometimes we have alif, and sometimes we have alif maqsura, and it is written like this. So we have to prolong it for 2 seconds, not for 1 second. So when you're reciting the Quran especially, so how will you say? Kubra, Sughra, Bushra. So you will prolong it for 2 seconds.
Actually, during the lesson, I heard, maybe I am wrong, somebody said that first line we read one harka, and the long vowel we read two harka. That's why.
Exactly, yes, that's right, yes. Yeah, but it's a very good question. So we can add to that alif, the regular alif and alif maqsura, both of them, we prolong them for 2 seconds with a long haraka. Rayyakum. Yes, please, anyone else?
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
I wanted to ask that if, for example, we are not pronouncing the tanween at the end, for example, there is a sentence has a kitab. So if we are saying kitab instead of kitabun, does that change the meaning?
Well, it depends. Like when you talk about modern standard Arabic or everyday Arabic, like we are doing now, it doesn't make any difference. However, as a beginner of Arabic language, as a student like myself as well, I like to pronounce the end of the word so that I know how does it end, because the ending is very important in Arabic language, and the ending tells us the meaning, whether the meaning, what meaning we have to take from that. So I would highly recommend that you read it with the ending sound. For example, you say "Hada kitabun." However, If it is min ghayr al-Quran, if it is other than the Quran, it's fine. But when you are reciting the Quran, then you have to make sure that when you stop, you follow the stop rules. But in Arabic, it's fine. But for your practice, I would highly recommend that you prolong it you pronounce it clearly so that you get used to it. That's why you remember in the beginning I showed you alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha'un. The reason for showing this was so that we get used to it.
Okay, sir, and one more thing. Are the long vowels same as madde tabi'i?
Exactly. It has the same name, but exactly. That is about tajweed and the rules of the tajweed, whereas when we normally talk about Arabic, modern standard Arabic, we say long vowel, yes, which is basically two harakas. So ba, bu, and bi. So it is called mad tabi'i. Yes, the natural mad, we can say. Wayakum. Anyone else? I hope the lesson was productive, and inshallah, I'm sure that you learned something new. And I think I've seen that some of my mashallah students who are in book 3, they are also here. So inshallah, whatever I learned in 5 to 6 years, I will try my level best to put it here, give you everything that I found to be difficult and the small details that were difficult for me to figure out. So inshallah, the journey that took me 5 years, if you're consistent, inshallah, you will be able to make it in 1 year. Alright, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam.